Hey friends, how are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing so well, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is a smidge different than some of my normal thrifting content, but this is super important. We're talking about Poshmark today. Poshmark just recently had PoshFest, which is their yearly event where they get together with sellers and they kind of announce what they've done the past year to improve the app, and then also what their plans are for the future and the improvements that they're going to be making to their site and their app. And so there's quite a few things that they announced this year that we need to talk about that is great for you to be aware of. I definitely, if you didn't feel like you wanted to purchase the $300 ticket for the 2-day event and also fly there, room and board, meals, like this is your alternative to know what happened. I am watching these things. I did not attend either, but I am watching all of the different things to see what they came out with saying about Poshmark and its future. So we're going to talk about future Poshmark and see what they've done recently, and then we'll have our own opinions about it. Okay, sound good? So some of the features that they came out with talking about are okay, and some of them are, I feel like, not going to be super helpful, but we'll break it all down here. So some of the things that they were talking about at this event were the small features, the things that they brought to the table over the past year. And some of these things are kind of helpful, some of them not so much. Something that they started off with talking about was gift cards and bringing gift cards to Poshmark, which I think is actually quite timely. Like they should have been doing this a while ago. I remember a few years ago, I asked somebody for a gift card from Poshmark for my birthday and they didn't have any. Like I was like, oh, you cannot get a gift card. So I think that's super helpful, especially for people that like to shop secondhand. Something else they came out with was the optional offer to like or shipping. So helpful. I don't know why they were the only ones that did this really, but basically when you were sending an offer to somebody that had liked your item, you were forced to send them also a shipping discount. So instead of just being able to send them a discounted price on the item, you also were forced to at least give up $2 of your profit and offer them a little bit of discounted shipping. You could also offer them free shipping, which would have just literally eaten into your profits by $7 or $8, but you were forced to do so. You couldn't avoid it. So something that they've recently just changed was they're allowing you to offer that optionally. So I've seen most people get rid of offering the shipping discount. A shipping discount has never enticed me to buy something on Poshmark, but I know for some people it's a big thing. So I do feel like that was a good change because I don't know any other site that makes you offer a shipping discount. eBay doesn't do that, neither does Mercari. Then they've also added a sale notification sound. So basically when you sell something and if your app is updated, you'll also get a little sound, maybe like a ka-ching or something like that, that tells you sold something on the app. I was wondering though for you guys if that is like super exciting. Mostly because for me, I never have my sound on my phone. I feel like a lot of people don't have their sound on their phone. And so for me, it doesn't really matter at all. But I was curious for you guys, is that something that's enticing to you to have that sound go off? I feel like that is kind of cool. But also if I have my sound on for the sale notifications, then I'm going to have my sound on for text and for calls. And I literally would drive myself mad with the interruptions to my day if I always had my sound on. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that. They have also updated Posh Show auction times. Not a huge deal for me. I don't do Posh shows. I tried them. I like Whatnot better, I think. So I've not been doing that. And then Posh Canada got Posh Lens and QR shipping codes. And I feel like QR shipping codes are really helpful, especially if you don't have a printer or if you're selling on a smaller scale where you just need to take one thing to the post office and they can do a QR code for you. I feel like that's super helpful. So that's great for Posh Canada. But Posh Lens, has anyone effectively used Posh Lens? Is that just me where I'm like, it just will not show me what I'm actually looking for. It won't give me the right brand. It won't give me the right item. Sometimes it's a completely different category of item. So for me, I definitely never use Posh Lens. I would always pick using my Google Lens before that. That's how I reverse image search everything. But yeah, they did give Canada Posh Lens. So maybe they've improved it. I've not looked at it in a while. I would rather just have a good app than use that feature inside of Poshmark. But those are the small things that they've been working on. And then they got to the two larger features that they brought out this year, which are promoted closets and Posh Party Live. So Posh Party Live makes little to no sense to me. I'm sure some people probably find that useful, but on the major whole, like most people that are sellers, I feel like are not going to be participating in Posh Party Live. most people who are sellers are going to be just listing items to sell. And the same thing with promoted closets. I feel like both of these are sort of like a cash grab. Like promoted closets, if you guys don't know about this, Poshmark recently started letting you promote your listings in order to get more views on your items, to sell things. So those things might sell faster, but you're also giving up a higher proportion of your sale price. Like you're giving up more money, your takeaway. And I think at one point too, they might still be doing this, but they were making you pay per click of who's clicking on that item, which I think is crazy. So I've not done promoted closets. I have no intention of doing so. Like I would rather just sell my items and not have to pay a promotion fee. I know that eBay also has a way where you can, pay a little bit more of your sale price to promote it. And so I personally just not super interested in doing that. I know it works for some people, so I'd be interested to hear if somebody has tried out promoted closets, if that's actually worked for you. I just have a feeling it doesn't do a lot for you other than take more of your money. Like I feel like it's a cash grab for sure. So not super interested in either of those huge ones that they've rolled out this year. So those features don't strike me as being super useful at all. But you know what actually has proven to be useful? Vendoo. And Vendoo is partnering with me on today's video. And the thing about Vendoo is they just rolled out a new feature too, but it's actually incredibly helpful, which is night and day to this whole Poshmark scenario where it's something that will actually be useful and helps me every single day in my business. And if you guys don't know, Vendoo is a cross-listing software, but they also have so many other pieces that are integrated into it. So not only will you be able to white out your backgrounds of your pictures, you also have automatic sales detection and delisting. But the new feature is the eBay's price checker tool, which is so useful because when you're looking up what to price your item at, I get this question all the time, like, how do you know what to price your item at? To figure out pricing, you have to look at things that are currently listed that are similar to your item and also things that have sold and try to figure out your price based off of what you think you can actually sell your item for. But this tool is perfect for that. It allows you, based on your title, to go through and see what you should actually be listing your items at. So as soon as you start entering your item's title, the price tracker appears and then it helps you to optimize your listing. And then you also get real-time data analysis where the tool shows you the average listing price and average sold price based on the most recent 30 days of data. And you can also change all of these insights as well. But you can go directly to the eBay product search tool to get more results and compare similar listings. So this allows you to make sure that your prices are competitive and attractive to potential buyers. But I find that to be so useful. I tried it out and I've been using it to list my items and it is so helpful. Even if you don't go into all the analytics, just having an average sold price and average list price right below your listing for your eBay is so helpful. And then whatever price I decide is helpful from that, I can use on all of my different sites. And all of it I just do with a few clicks of a button. And I literally could not run my business at this point without Vendoo. And it also helps me ride out these waves when different platforms are making changes that could really jeopardize your business. Especially like I remember when Poshmark rolled out all of their algorithm changes, like that's when I started cross-listing aggressively. And if I would not have done that, I would not be in the place that I am right now with my business. So I really highly suggest if you are not already cross-listing to use something like Vendoo, use Vendoo to make your business safer. It really does also really increase the amount that you can make online. So if you guys haven't already tried out Vendoo, definitely use my link down below and you'll get 25% off your first month. And now's the time to try this. This tool just rolled out September 10th. It is working great. I am here to say that I think it's super useful. So thank you to Vendoo again for sponsoring this portion of today's video. But now let's talk a little bit more about Poshmark's new features. So those are all of the features on Poshmark that they've actually accomplished. Now we're going to talk about the Posh future updates, which you have to take this with a grain of salt because they can say all they want what they're going to do, but what they actually do is going to be shown by their actions. So here's the things that they talked about. They're talking about updating the Posh Show so that you can do giveaways in the next few months, which makes sense. That's what Whatnot already does, as well as sudden death. So you can set a timer on your Posh Shows instead of having time added. You just have a time that you will end the listing at in a Posh Show. Not super useful to me because I don't do them, but I can see how they're helpful because Whatnot's already doing them. I also thought it was really funny. This is like a little bit of an aside, but the people that they had presenting were definitely employees of Poshmark. And I feel like they would do so much better to put people up there on stage that actually use their product, because quite a few times when they were talking about different things, one of the presenters was just like, yeah, I don't do that and I don't list, but you should do it. Like, a little crazy, I thought. But Then the other thing that really got people excited was in Posh Shows, they're moving the listing tray from being 50 drafts to 100 drafts, so you can sell more things in your Posh Shows. Cool, love it, okay. Then something they also brought up was that they're going to be doing a smart list AI feature, which I think this is super important to note, is that means that eventually they're hoping that you're gonna be able to upload a picture and then they're gonna start auto-filling in your template, your listing for you based off of the picture. It'll give you like the brand, the size, all of that. So you are supposed to be using less of your own time to make listings. I don't know how well this is going to work based off of how bad Posh Lens is. This is something to be aware of in the future, and a lot of companies are going to be moving towards AI. I don't know how good it's going to be yet, but it's going to exist, they say. We'll see if it comes about. Something that I thought was the funny part when they were talking about listing was listing streaks is something that they brought up. So if you list once a week for a few weeks in a row, then you'll be on a listing streak. So a listing streak of 2 weeks if you list once a week twice, you know what I mean? So that's where they were talking about like, oh yeah, I don't list, but I feel like I'm going to definitely list now that there's listing streaks. But there's no real like reward for listing streaks. I think it might give you discounted shipping on your items to buyers. But really the only thing that's going to change is they talked about how the icon of the Poshmark app on your phone will change from being the normal, like kind of like a darkish red to being a pink color when you're on a listing streak, which to me is not like super enticing. I don't feel like that's going to really make me want to list more. But they were excited about it, so that's nice for them. So then the thing that I do think would be very helpful, this isn't a huge change, but I think it would be really helpful, is they talked about doing listing templates where you can set text to auto-populate in every new listing, which doesn't sound like a lot, but will save you so much time on the whole. So like if you say something in the end of each one of your listings, like I usually say gently used, good condition, no flaw, something like that. If I can auto-populate that to always show up, I don't have to type it every single time. When you multiply that by 100 different listings that I'm creating, that's saving me minutes, that's saving me hours eventually of time where I'm just typing the exact same thing over and over. So I think that's really helpful actually. So then they talked about scanning and selling, which they only really talked about this in relation to Coach, is that if you scan their QR code, it'll auto-populate all of the information for the item into a listing. So like if you wanted to sell something, you can just scan the QR code. So, I mean, for me, I feel like I'm not going to be using that a lot, but it's helpful. Maybe they'll add more brands in the future, but also only very like recent Coach bags have that QR code. So I'm not really sure what they're doing with that. Of course, it did come hand in hand with the PoshFest. After you pay the $300, they did give you a free pair of Rothy's and a free Coach bag, a very small Coach bag and a pair of Rothy's, which I think is great, but also I could have spent that money just to buy those things myself and not pay $300 to go to PoshFest plus room and board plus, you know what I mean? So like it's a give and take, but could be still helpful. So we have 2 more small updates that they want to make in the future and then 2 humongous ones, and these are the meat of the video really. But last offer to liker price will be visible when sending future offers to liker. So right now, if you're sending an individual liker an offer, you cannot really see what your last price was that you sent to them. So they're gonna add a little yellow line that shows you what you last sent to them, which is helpful if you are sending things out by hand. As someone who has been using Posher VA for a long time now, they automatically send out offers for me that are like 10% less than the last offer that they had already sent. So like not super helpful to me or to anyone else that's using a bot like that, that's sharing and also sending out offers for you. But I guess if you're doing it individually, it's helpful. And for on a buyer side, they also are adding a My Brands filter where you can just filter based off of the brands that you're looking for, like multiple ones at a time. So I think that's kind of helpful for buyers. Not so much on the seller side, but the 2 big things that they brought up and are so interesting to me. The first one is Poshmark consignment. So right now they're in beta testing. So we're gonna see if this actually gets rolled out. But it sounds very much so like ThredUp, but people are filling this big like Poshmark duffel bag. And then people, I guess, from Poshmark are picking up these duffel bags and delivering them to other Poshmark users. And then the Poshmark user is listing all these items, picturing and listing and going through and sorting all of these items, listing them. And then when they sell, then the person that consigned those items also gets a percentage of the sales. So they didn't break down the fee structure of this. They didn't break down how much each person is getting. I think it could be helpful if you are in need of inventory and live in a big like metropolitan area where it's going to be easier to get good things. It makes me a little nervous. What are the things put in place to make sure you're not just sending a bunch of crap to somebody and then they're forced to like list it all and then make like pennies? I feel like there's a lot that could go wrong with this. And what concerned me too was just like, what if the brands aren't nice enough to sell? But I thought it was funny, one of the presenters, when they were talking about this, she was talking about this more from a consigner's perspective. She's like, and even if you don't think that your clothes are good enough to sell, that's the good thing about Poshmark. Everything sells on Poshmark. To which I'm like, should everything be sold on Poshmark? That worries me about what items people are going to be sending to these poor Poshmark people that are going to be listing those items. Like, what if they're just sending you tons of like Shein and like crusty boots? Like, it sounds like a nightmare to me. And maybe that's just coming from my perspective where I have a lot of access to good inventory and I have too much inventory. Like, I am the opposite problem where I cannot find enough time to list everything. So getting more items that I did not pick myself to list sounds like a nightmare. But some people, that might be a good thing for them. So I don't want to completely discount it. But to me, it sounds awful. For me, it sounds awful. Unless maybe I was the one consigning pieces to other people. But I don't want to do that to people. I feel like that's a lot of work for not very much reward for them, unless the fee structure might be different. Now here's the biggie. This is the big takeaway from PoshFest that y'all need to hear about. And that is the fee structure overall of the entire app. They are talking about changing, which is timely, which is super helpful. If you don't know, Poshmark takes 20% off of whatever you sell and keeps that. That's their percentage. That's their commission for being the app that you're selling on. That is the highest in the field. I don't think any other platform has a fee that's as high as that. And even recently, Mercari and Depop both rolled out no fee structures for sellers. So basically, when you sell something on Mercari for $100, you make $100. If you sell something for $100 on Poshmark right now, you make $80. So you're losing $20 right off the bat. So they talked about lowering their fee structure so that you get more money from the things that you're selling, which is perfect. That's what we need from them, especially for people that have tons of items on Poshmark and just haven't had the ability to move them all over to other platforms. It'd be great to have the fees lowered. But even if they're doing that, they're going to find other ways to make money. So like, even if they're going to lower the fees, you better believe they're going to be pushing promoted closets more, because then you're going to make up that money in that promoting cost. So I know that it sounds too good to be true when people lower those prices, and they're going to have to make up that money somewhere else. So either the buyers are going to have to pay more, or they're going to be making up that money in ad revenue from the ads on the side of Poshmark, or even from, the promoted closets, things like that. So it's something to be wary of, but also on the whole, I think it would be incredible and super noteworthy to say, please lower your fees. There's no reason they need to be taking 20% of your listings when both Mercari and Depop are 0. And then also, I think Whatnot is around 8% a selling cost. And then eBay is kind of high too. I think they're at, I don't know, they're somewhere between maybe around 15%. I'd have to double check that number, but to have a straight 20% is a lot in this market where you have multiple places you can sell on that are offering way less. So yeah, that's the big takeaway. Those ones that they're working on, take it with a grain of salt. Some of these things we might have just heard about and then we never see come into fruition, but maybe they do come into fruition. I just want to say, take it with a grain of salt. You never know precisely what people are going to do, even when they say they're going to do it. So I do think the takeaways from me are, they did that optional offer to like or shipper discount. That's helpful. And then the listing templates, I think, could be a helpful small change for people. Listing streaks are a little helpful in that it gamifies the app a little bit. But the biggest takeaways are what they're going to do with Poshmark consignment and the fee structure of the entire platform. So that's your PoshFest recap. You didn't even have to attend. You didn't have to spend $1,000. You just came to this video and watched it for free. So if you like that, let me know. But I do want to thank again Vendu for working with me on today's video. And the new feature that they brought out really does deliver, and it actually is super helpful and allowed me, I used to have to do research for like 30 minutes on figuring out what to price my items at. Now I can just use that tool and it's so helpful. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to try them out, it does help me if you do click my link down below. So make sure if you're considering it to use the link, and it also does give you 25% off of your first month, which is awesome. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and until the next video, bye.